Welcome to episode 97 of The Inside Bite. I'm your host, Tim Schaefer. I'm here with my co-host, Rudy. How you doing this week?
Hey, Tim, I'm good. Good. Just counting down the days, man. We got 4 days left till Zelda comes out.
So it comes out Friday, but I guess technically like Thursday night, trying to work the next morning. I don't know if you want to be up playing Zelda. Because how you going to like start at midnight and stop?
Oh my God, dude.
It's not going to be possible.
I think I'd rather get up maybe a little earlier and play
that could work.
For an hour in the morning, I might do that.
I'm bringing this main topic, the state of Xbox, because there's so much talk right now. This Redfall release just sparked a whole bunch of just Xbox in general questions on like what are they even doing as a business at this point. Not because this game itself is so bad, but almost like it's the straw that broke the camel's back kind of mentality here. Of just, okay, they keep saying just wait a little longer.
Right.
This was supposed
I'm feeling good about this showcase.
This was supposed to be the year where they just finally deliver. And I don't want to say they're not completely, because again, Hi-Fi Rush was like a great start at the beginning of the year.
Right.
But not just Redfall, but that Minecraft Legends, it's kind of in the sixes as well. And it's kind of like, okay, 1 out of 3 is not looking too hot. You're still in this camp Xbox where you've been for years of you're not consistently delivering good, right? Nintendo and Sony will have a slip up here or there, sure. But it's,
of course,
they still deliver more than they don't. And with Xbox, it seems to be the reverse of that these last few years. They haven't been in a good state since 360 days. So it's been a long time since they've been consistent about getting big exclusives to their system, like, BioShock, Mass Effect, stuff like that in those days.
Yeah.
You don't really see stuff like that nowadays. Sony got a big exclusive, Forspoken, and it didn't turn out well, but how many did turn out well? You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's the difference. Yeah. It's different when you see people complaining about this stuff with Xbox, but they're people that, you can never satisfy. That's one thing, right? But like for us, for example, I've had many things that Xbox has done that I've enjoyed. But, if I'm being really honest, it's just even Halo, right? When Halo came out, I was like, and I still believe that Halo is a very good game. It's very well made. I don't think there's any problem there. It's just the management of it that's the issue, right? Yeah. I feel like they're slacking on the way that they manage these companies. Like, come on, Halo, that should still be a big draw, It's like the best. No one makes a shooter like Halo. And then Arcane,
and it was more than one slip up. It was supposed to release when the console released. They had to push it a whole year, and it's still under-delivered. So it's they're running out of excuses, and they're running out of I'm sorry. We can only hear I'm sorry so many times before we just don't care anymore. At some point, your sorries don't matter anymore, and you have to actually start delivering. And that's the problem. Is many times we're going to get into this Phil Spencer interview on the Xcast, like Kind of Funny's deal, which I haven't watched Kind of Funny in years, but this is some of the best content I've gotten in a long time. I had to jump on it and watch it multiple times through, but he keeps saying how sorry he is. And I'm just like, it doesn't cut it anymore.
We need some action now.
You've been the leader for close to 10 years now. You can't just still keep not delivering. At some point, the puck has to stop with you. And if you can't, be the head here, maybe someone else needs to step in. It's hitting that point. I never thought I would be saying, Phil Spencer just can't do it. But I'm starting to think that. And again, this is not just because of this recent Redfall. This is because
it's more
what I've been saying. Again, Xbox One generation, awful. Now, you could have blamed Don Matrix because of that, because he really screwed up.
I mean, that's true.
That's true. 360 era, and he had a lot to recover. And I love Spencer's vision on. I mean, it is his vision on Game Pass and cloud and all of this.
Sure.
And it's been working super well for him. And I love this pocket that they're in. They're making themselves different from the competition, which is great. I don't want every box being the same. But you still have to deliver the games. And he has yet to really do that.
I know. It's kind of crazy to think about. You've seen all these acquisitions they've made, and they've had, years. And you just think, just by sheer number of companies and their talent, you got to have some big games coming out by now. Funnily enough, the games that I think are the biggest games, I shouldn't say biggest, I should say the games that have been received the best reception have been two smaller games, Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment. Have been the two best.
Grounded's doing pretty good.
Grounded as well. That's another one.
I don't want to say Halo Infinite was like a disaster, because that's a weird pocket, right? It's a good game, but they just like couldn't deliver on the online side of things and all of that. So that's the strangest one. Yeah.
Because that's not like Redfall, right? Like Halo, when we play it, is a great game. It's just they were slacking on the lack of content and not managing, key features that people want and things like that. I think that was the problem with that. But now with Redfall, obviously, as we can see, the game clearly needed way more time. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking.
There's many reviews out there, and a good one that I would say people watch is like Skill Up's review or IGN's review. IGN gave it a 4, and honestly, I agree with the 4. It really is in that state.
Sure.
And we played it for a bit.
That was funny.
Was the part where we played, was that the only moment you played?
That's it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I just remember in that 45 minutes that we played, we encountered a few glitches.
I had a lot. I don't know why. I seem to have way more than you were having, but
oh my god. I mean, the AI was behaving the way it was supposed to, which is almost worse. That the AI was so they were just so dumb.
There's a lot of reviews. What Ruby's getting at is there's a lot of reviews of the AI is just actually breaking and like getting stuck on the floor, or just I don't know, spinning in circles or something, right? When we were playing, they were technically behaving normal, but it's just technically bad AI. They weren't doing, you shoot at them, right? Let's say there's 3 or 4 in an area, and any game, literally any game, you kill an enemy sees you killing one, they come and help out. In this game, that doesn't happen. Vampire could be 10 feet away, you be killing one, and the other stands there like nothing's happening, right? There's just tons and tons of issues. I guess I'll go into real quick, because I'm going to go into this Phil Spencer interview, but before we do, I think it's best we just go into the issues I have with Redfall, because it's going to play into this conversation as a whole. So sure. when I started up, I started up on Xbox, because remember last episode I was saying I do want to try the 30. Maybe I can kind of get over it. My specs aren't up to spec here, and I won't get my parts by release. I have my parts now. But anyway, so I started up, and figures, I couldn't handle it. It's 30 FPS, and the motion blur was just terrible. I felt sick moving the camera, and I just couldn't handle it. So I moved to my PC. Weirdly, just like we were saying with most Microsoft games, the performance is fine. The performance isn't the issue. The issue is the bugs in the game design as a whole, right? It's not me putting certain resolutions in certain high, medium settings and it not reflecting that, right? That wasn't necessarily the case here. Anyway, so I was able to play I think 1080p at 60, right? That was straight. The problem is anytime I changed any setting, the screen just turned to garbage, and I had to restart the whole game, boot it back up just so it could reflect my settings instead of it just going on the fly. Not That's I'm crazy. Changing a major setting. In some games you change something major and it asks you to reboot. No, this is literally anything I change. It distorts the whole screen, and I had to restart.
You I don't know,
shadows or something.
Shadows or something.
Yeah. And then it's just huge distortion. I have to reboot. Anyway, so then I'm playing, and it felt really just super boring, basic. AI was just trash and hardly responded to anything I was doing. And I was like, man, this game just kind of sucks, right? And I played an hour and a half, but it wasn't major issues. The major issues came when we went co-op together and played.
Yes.
So you make a room, I join it, and I can't pick up a gun. I can't pick up, no gun, no ammo. I can't even melee.
That was so bad.
So we play 30, 35 minutes, and I still can't pick up a gun or even melee my fist or anything. So eventually I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave the game, bring in my other character. That way I know I have a gun, because I was playing for a bit before you, right? Right when I left your game, the game just kicked you out too. You're the host.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting that to happen. So
that was weird.
People can't join or leave without restarting a whole ordeal.
Apparently that's what it seems like.
Really bizarre. Anyway, so yeah, you get kicked, start a new room again. I join with the other character, and yeah, I have my guns now, but I can't pick up new ammo. Then what? Every 2 or 3 minutes, we just encountered a bug, or at least I did. Like doors wouldn't be showing on my screen. Big garage doors wouldn't be showing on my screen. I would just see a bunch of visible walls for the doors. I saw like the AI just literally like actually broken, like you would see in other reviews of just kind of spinning around and not doing anything. Man. Enemies to where you killed them, but they still showed on my screen. Stuff like that, you know. So it just, I don't know. It was boring and it was a disaster at the same time. And I was just
right. It's like, God, it'd be one thing if it was just not a good game. Okay, it happens. Maybe we could find something enjoyable with it. But it's like, not only is it broken, but think of like Atomic Heart was the opposite, right? We both thought it was not a good game, but it was very well optimized. But this was just, let's just ruin both things, you know.
Okay, God. So we played from our own experience, plus you can read other people playing it. But I don't know why people want to pretend like if somebody reviews the game now that they're just like looking for clout or that they're lying or anything like that. That always annoys me. Crazy. Like
I don't understand why it can't just be that the game is not good. Mm-hmm. You can if you want to enjoy it still, that's fine. But like, come on, don't automatically assume that everyone who's reviewing it is just out to, I don't know, jump on the bandwagon. What bandwagon? Of hating Redfall, I guess? I don't know. Yeah.
Or what, Xbox as a whole, but it wouldn't make any sense because, 6 months ago, apparently everyone was on the bandwagon of, like, Game Passes.
Right.
That you can't have it both ways. Anyway, let's get into this interview. I broke down a lot of the key points from it. I also want to say, when it came to the cast, like interviewing Phil Spencer, they were really like, they were respectful. They let him talk and everything, but they actually hit him with hard-hitting questions.
Actually got some good questions.
Didn't back up. And they even responded in certain ways immediately back to something that Phil said and didn't shy away from the hard-hitting questions. So I want to give respect to them. And I want to give respect for Phil for actually being honest. If you watch that, that's the most honest interview I've ever seen, like in a very long time, but coming from like a corporate head. I was very shocked, actually. I mean, he looked like he was about to cry on camera. What I'm imagining, my scenario is, so he was going to come on that show. They said during it, well, before the FTC stuff happened with Activision, before Redfall reviews came out, the interview was already lined up. He was coming on the show already. Well, then all that stuff happened, but they were expecting him to dip out just because he was dealing with so much stuff, but he went on the interview anyway. Now, with Xbox Corporate, I don't think they're happy with the fact that he went on anyway. Because, probably because we know way too much information than we've ever knew about Xbox internal now. I mean, he was broken, dude. I think he had multiple meetings with higher ups on maybe losing his job kind of level. And that's how he felt when he was on cameras. I feel he was just out of a meeting on maybe we shouldn't keep you. Because he said comments on yeah, I really do make so much more money than what I should be on a position that I'm at. Stuff like that during the interview. I was like, interesting. Whoa. Yeah.
That is weird. Okay.
Let's get into some of my bullet points here. And you'll see what I mean. So, yeah. In the beginning, he states that they were discussing the Activision deal going on, right? And the appeal and all that. So, he stated that there was 14 jurisdictions and they already had 9 prepped for the appeal. So, it shouldn't take too much longer to know the end result of this whole acquisition. They're already getting close to appealing it back. And then whether it passes or fails, then we'll know the result. So I'm imagining a month or two, and we'll get a finale on how this deal's happening. So we know that because of this interview. Second thing here is he saw the bad reception that Redfall got at launch and sees that many people are losing confidence in Xbox as a whole. He says he gets many people stating certain teams shouldn't handle certain types of games and to stay with what they are good at. But he wants teams to be able to do whatever they want to do.
Be versatile. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But the problem is he was too hands off with this game. It comes out bad. And we find out later in here, and you'll see, they really were not even slightly watching it. Because he says they were expecting, I mean, every game they delivered prior to this game was top notch. Critically, reception super high across the board with every release. Dishonored, Dishonored 2, Prey, Deathloop, right? There wasn't a hiccup.
It couldn't go wrong, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So in his head, he's just thinking like, he's just like, I'm not going to mess with them. I'm just going to let them do their thing. And I'm sure it'll be great, right? Well, that's where he slipped up. So he says they did mock reviews for the game, and it was expecting to be reviewed much better than what it was. He said double digits higher than what ended up being real reviews. So what does that mean? Does that mean they just got the wrong company to review their stuff?
You know what that reminds me of is when like the police do something wrong and then the police investigate the police.
Oh yeah.
It's like that.
Well, I don't think let's say Sony or Nintendo or anything, they don't get people within the company to review their own product. They get outside sources to come in and review it because they don't want any bias. So that is a little interesting that someone comes in and thinks it's a lot better and tells them, for multiple people, like, no, it's good. Now double digits higher, that can mean 11 points, that can mean whatever.
A lot of things.
90 points, I don't know, but it's at least over 10, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, like, worst case, I guess, like, what, the game's at a 60 or a 55, and he was expecting a 65? I don't know. Then, when later asked why he didn't delay the game, he says after hearing the feedback from others that say delayed the game, it wouldn't have fixed the core issues that people had with the game and only fixed some bugs and performance issues, but the people seem to have a bigger issue with the overall game vision as a whole, is what he's saying.
Right.
So Phil knows this. He's like, even if we would have delayed it and fixed whatever bugs and stuff, the core is still the problem.
Right. He thinks it wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah. And I agree. It wouldn't have, right? Like, there still isn't... There's way bigger issues with this game than just bugs,
Yeah, that's true.
Says that they've been talking about a big game every quarter happening soon, and says that now is the time that is happening. No more waiting. Things are lining up finally. So this Redfall was supposed to be quarter one big game. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And then quarter two, what were they? I guess Starfield's going to land in that. Well, Starfield's September, so I guess that's technically the beginning. Quarter three. Is Redfall considered quarter two and is Hi-Fi Rush considered one? I don't know. Either way,
Hi-Fi Rush dropped in what was it, April or
no,
March?
Real early. It was like January or February.
Oh, that early. Okay.
Yeah. So that could have been one. Redfall could have been two. Starfield could have been three, and then what? Maybe Hellblade 2 could quarter four. So I still think he's not lying there. I do think this is still happening, right?
Sure.
And they haven't had this sort of push out in years. So I don't think it's nearly as doom and gloom as people think. But, I mean, still, this is the first big one, right? This is the first AAA, big release, big budget game, and they fumbled it, right?
Yeah, it's not a good look.
So they admitted, here's the big one here. Here's the real big one. They admitted when they acquired Bethesda, the Redfall was already halfway complete, so they just left them to the devices, and since their last games were all received very well, they was expecting that ball to keep rolling. They didn't check up on it as much or oversee it in any meaningful way. Right. Now he regrets being so hands-off. We should have been there for Harvey and the team earlier. With Starfield, everyone, including myself, has been very hands-on with the process of development for that title. And I believe that. Sure. Because when they got acquired, they for sure were in the beginnings. I don't think, or Redfall being bad is Starfield being bad too, right? I do think what he's saying is honest here. I do think they literally just left them to their own deal, and now he regrets doing so. So
sure.
He also confirmed that they're going to say if Starfield's going to run 30 or 60 when they do the showcase on console. So
I see.
The fact that he didn't say it on that interview is telling, though. They clearly are still having issues. It is a thing this whole time. People were right on thinking, oh man, it may not be 60, because if it was going to be 60 and it wouldn't have been a question, it would have just been right there. Right?
God, I hope they don't. Come on, man. You guys can't mess that up. Come on now.
Especially after this moment now, it has to be 60. Has to.
Oh, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, but we definitely didn't expect this. So,
and then one last thing, and this is big. So this is Xbox as a whole. He's saying, we have a different vision. We're not in the business of out-consoling Sony or out-consoling Nintendo. There is not a great solution or win for us. When you're third place in the console marketplace and the top two players are as strong as they are and have, in certain cases, very discreet focus on doing deals and other things that kind of make being Xbox hard. He's getting at Sony buying this and that.
Sure.
I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true. It's what Phil Spencer said. I'm going to repeat that. I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true. He doesn't believe that. Goes on to say people are too invested in their digital libraries to want to move over to a different console. That just making great games is going to get them to win the console race, I think doesn't really lay into the reality of most people. Like 90% are already a member of one of the three ecosystems. Continuation of the generation is so strong, there is no world where Starfield's an 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s. It's not going to happen. People just hold us up for just being a better green version of what the blue guys do. And I'm just going to say there is not a win for Xbox and staying in the wake of somebody else. We have to go off and do our own thing with Game Pass, with the stuff with xCloud, and the way we build our games. So half of that, I believe, I agree with. The other half, I definitely don't agree with, right?
Right. So, yeah, what do you think more specifically? How do you feel about what he said?
So the stuff I agree with is, yes, let's say Starfield's amazing. Yeah, they're not going to start selling their PS5s. They're too invested.
Right, I agree.
I agree that people are invested in their ecosystems at this point and that they're not just going to sell all their stuff and just switch. But that doesn't mean they won't go buy an Xbox.
Exactly. That's
where he's getting confused there. He's like, that doesn't mean you can't sell consoles if you have big, great game releases, right?
Oh, right. That part is particularly crazy. I mean, there's many people who buy consoles for a few
That
games
is what sells consoles, actually. Yeah. Like Final Fantasy 16, a lot of them are being bought right now in Japan, and a lot of people are asking why, and the customers are saying, well, Final Fantasy 16 is about to come out, and so I'm trying to secure a PS5, so when that comes out, I can play it on there, right?
Sure.
So that's literal proof that a big game can sell a console. But we've known this the entire time. I mean, think about it.
Definitely know.
Way back Super Nintendo days, Super Mario World, that sold consoles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we know that.
If you put Starfield in, it's amazing. People are going to at least go buy a Series S or something. It's going to sell consoles. That's not true. He's thinking that people are just so hard into PlayStation or Nintendo, they wouldn't even bother buying an Xbox, even no matter how good their games are. First of all, the fact that the head of Xbox Gaming is saying this and believes this, that's where I'm like, man, maybe he shouldn't be there.
It's kind of baffling.
This is my first time I ever actually thought, yeah, maybe he should be gone then. Because that's the wrong mentality to have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen the interview yet. I have it saved because I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like everyone's saying, I'm sure it is good if he, takes responsibility. But that to me is kind of the opposite of what you should be saying now. Like, come on, no one believes that.
Now, his emotions are high. Again, I'm imagining he was just in a meeting, getting super slammed at and getting a lot of people down his throat and really upset at him. And I think he's probably saying stuff he doesn't necessarily mean or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But you still can't say that.
Yeah, you're right, though. It's probably, high emotions. And I wouldn't be surprised if he honestly did just get ahead of a meeting or something crazy just happened,
Yeah. I mean, legit, if you watch it, he's getting teary-eyed. It's really weird. So you can tell he cares. And that's what hurts the most. You can tell he cares.
He actually cares, yeah. No, that's definitely a good thing.
But whether he cares or not isn't going to solve the problem.
Of course, yeah.
That's the issue, is Jim Ryan sucks. But he's doing what has to be done. If you look at the other side of PlayStation, Corey with 2018 specifically, I remember watching an interview, they kept checking in constantly. When are you going to be done? Where are you at right now? What's happening? And he was getting super upset at how often they were coming and checking on it. But that's what it takes, right? You need that pressure. So there's a fine line, right? You can't go too hard. You can't go too soft. There's a perfect balance, but clearly Xbox's balance is not there.
It's too bad, man. I feel like I've said this so many times, but I hope they just, things start coming together for them, because clearly they have the ability to, they have really talented, smart people to make the games. So let's do it now. Let's make those games.
Yes.
That's all there is to it, man. So.
It's got me thinking on just like, okay, well, what do I think on Xbox now? How should I handle it? I mean, I'm not going to go sell my Xbox. I'm still going to use it. I still use Game Pass often. The only thing is, like, I guess it makes me think, like, okay, well, maybe I could just, like, unsub for a few months, wait for Starfield, sub again, and then maybe maybe something gets announced and makes me resub, but maybe I shouldn't just leave this thing running. I have thoughts like this, but that's basically about as far as I go in me starting to, like, me personally do reactions on now being against Xbox because of stuff like this.
So what do you think happens if Starfield comes out? I don't think this is going to happen, by the way. But let's say Starfield comes out and it's another disaster. What happens then?
I think the faith shoots way down in the company.
Yeah, especially from Starfield. I mean, that'll be a big deal.
The fact that they're in this boat speaks a lot of bad on the company. The fact that they put themselves in a situation to where a game has to hit as hard as it has to hit for people to care about them anymore.
Right.
They should never be in this spot to begin with.
Yeah, I agree.
They've had great, like, smaller releases. A lot of great smaller releases, actually. They're probably the best right now in that AA, single A space.
Sure.
Pushing out really awesome stuff. But when it comes to anything, a big budget of, like, everyone talking about it, they're not there. And they haven't been there again since 360 days. And maybe this is where you got to have the conversation on, like, I think he's saying this. I think he's saying we don't want to be that company that is releasing the God of Wars and The Last of Us and all of that. I think he's like, that's Sony's their deal. They throw the money. They have the big single player, big budget titles. And we're going to focus on just having creative teams create weird, fun, cool, interesting things, have the Game Pass and have the cloud gaming, and that be our thing. And I think people just need to accept that that's what Xbox is. Or, like, whether they're becoming that or whether already it is that.
Or they are that, yeah.
Yeah, like, maybe that's where people need to put their expectation into them. Instead of thinking that they're going to win this console race and have the biggest bangers, maybe get an Xbox so you can just have a Game Pass and have a Pentiment and an Avowed and whatever. Like, you can have these good games, but it's not going to be world shifting. I say that, but what if Starfield is world shifting? What if Avowed is world shifting?
That's what we're hoping for.
What if this Hellblade is world shift? The Perfect Dark. Like, what if this Fable that Playground is working on ends up being world shifting, right? Like, it's a possibility, but to just lean on that hope, I think people need to stop. And if it comes, cool. But go ahead and put your expectation into Xbox differently.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair to say, especially after everything that's happened. So, and especially what their leader is saying at this point. So,
yeah.
I guess we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. But Starfield will be, I think, a big indicator of where we're headed.
Okay, me personally, let's say Starfield is just disastrous as well. What do I personally do? I don't know. I guess, like, I just stop caring about them as much, and I just kind of leave them on the back burner. And if I see a cool game on Game Pass, I'll go check it out. And I just not going to put much else care into the product. And that's, I guess, how I'm gonna treat that. And maybe sell the X, keep the S, and I have Game Pass on my PC, and don't care too much about the Xbox ecosystem and kind of fall out. And you have millions of people technically in this Xbox ecosystem waiting for that next big God of War moment, right? And they just keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and I think if you want that, go buy a PlayStation, and maybe don't expect your Xbox to do those sort of experiences.
Yeah. I mean, it's Xbox has been for so long compared directly to PlayStation, and maybe things are changing. Maybe they're not going for that anymore. So
yeah, I mean, they straight up said they don't want to go. They don't want to just keep following in the blue team steps. They want to do their own thing,
right?
And I think their own thing is cloud and Game Pass and all of that. And it's not a bad vision. It's actually a pretty interesting, cool vision. Like, because technically in the future, again, like even if it's 20 years from now, like I said before, that is going to be our future.
Right.
And it's going to be because of Microsoft that is our future.
That's true. Yep.
So, okay. Maybe buying an Xbox console isn't the biggest thing in Xbox anymore. I think, and this has been the talk for a few years now of like Xbox is becoming just a brand as a whole, far outside of a console.
Yes, I agree with that. I'll just say I still would love big, good.
I still want big, good games. Yes, I still, whether it's on an Xbox or not, I still just want a big Elder Scrolls. I still want a big Starfield. I still want whatever big Microsoft release could do. Like, remember we were talking about Final Fantasy 16, why we're so excited is because we know they poured hundreds of millions of dollars into a product, and we get to experience something like that.
Yep.
Like, I'm going to keep chasing that and wanting that.
Of course. Especially when when this year we're going to be getting, Zelda and, Final Fantasy is not an exclusive. Well, actually, it is.
It is.
Sorry, it is. Final Fantasy 16, and these games that are just so much love and care will be probably put into them. It's like we want that for Xbox too, obviously. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna stop seeing them as like this third pillar and start seeing them as again cloud and Game Pass instead of like just a console thing. And in the end, I feel it would naturally make them more money to broaden to different devices. You would assume so, and be like a publisher and not just making games so people buy their console.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I still want them to put out great games, regardless. So
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've said enough there.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. So, get into the news here. Hogwarts Legacy has amassed over $1 billion with 15 million copies being sold. That's awesome. Hogwarts Legacy just launched on Xbox One and PS4 on May 5th, so probably more sales coming. I mean, that's great news. I think it's a game worthy of those sales, and anything I had a problem with in the first one, I think this will just make it more likely that they'll make another one and make it even better. So,
yeah, that's a good point. This is a great stepping stone. I mean, they couldn't have a better stepping stone for a sequel. Yeah. This game's weird because they have to ride that fine line on like being family friendly but not being too light. Like Harry Potter rides that line so finely when it comes to like, okay, you have to have bad things happen on screen or in the game and stuff that like hits you emotionally, but you can't have like, I don't know, straight beheadings and go horror or something like, but a lot of the themes under the surface are still pretty dark. And even Hogwarts Legacy did that, like Sebastian's story. There's a lot of darkness there. And I think they did a good job on riding that line, just like the films do.
Yeah, I agree. They balanced that line very well, which obviously we've talked a ton about it already. But yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever comes next, or maybe some DLC. I don't know if they're going to, but yeah.
There's a whole nother game of Quidditch coming out. Did you see that?
I did see that. Now we know why so clearly they had no Quidditch,
But it's WB Games as well, so like clearly like it's the same publisher, so maybe they were trying to get it working, they couldn't, they moved on to other things, and then, obviously they were in talks with WB on like, look, it's just not possible for us to have this part done, and then so maybe they just found somebody else to do it instead. So that's my assumption.
I think you're probably right. It looks a little more low budget,
Yeah, that's the problem.
But yeah.
Anyway,
we shall see.
Convergence, a League of Legends story, will be released May 23rd. The game will be available for purchase on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam, GOG, and the Epic Game Store. So, everywhere. In Convergence, a League of Legends story, players will explore the spectacular world of Zorn and Echo, a young inventor with an ingenious device to manipulate time. A press release reads, follow the journey of Echo, a fan-favorite League of Legends champion, as he discovers that the power to change time comes with many consequences. Developed by Double Stallion Games, Convergence is a 2D action platformer with an incredible art style that focuses on tight, dynamic combat and unique exploration opportunities afforded by Echo's ability to travel in space and time. And I include a screenshot there below, you can see. I think it actually looked really, really cool. We watched the trailer. I was quite impressed. I was like, I would actually want to play that. So, like the cool anime, it seems like they're doing really well on expanding on their universe.
Yeah, no, they certainly are. And the show, by the way, is just fantastic. So they're definitely doing a good job at nailing that,
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then next up, we got Gran Turismo movie gets a full-length trailer and August premiere date. So by the way, I didn't even know about this, and I just went to the movies the other night, and it popped up. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, it just caught me off guard. I just didn't hear anything about it. But anyway, Gran Turismo is actually based on real events. The film tells the story of Jan Mardenborough, a British professional race car driver who began his career by winning GT Academy, a European televised contest that pitted the best Gran Turismo players against each other for a chance to earn an actual racing career with Nissan. The film follows the teenage Mardenborough's ascension from gamer to racer and all the trials that come with it. Mardenborough is portrayed by Archie Madekwe, and the film also stars David Harbour, Orlando Bloom, and Digimon, probably no D. Probably no D pronounced. I have no clue. Digimon Hantu. Neil Blomkamp is the director. Gran Turismo premieres in theaters August 11th. Well, that sounds cool. I mean, when I saw it based on a true story, I'm like, no way, come on. And then I was like, oh, it actually is.
I thought the trailer was super cheesy. Definitely one of those like teen Disney movie vibes. But I don't know. So it doesn't really excite me too much, but it looks to be clearly well made,
Yeah, it does. It looks like it has good production, Yeah. So, maybe I'll check that out, Never know.
I'm not like super excited or anything. I'm kind of whatever. Like,
Yep.
This last thing here, I just put Zelda FSR, and so I'm gonna explain this. So,
okay.
As we know, game leaks, people have been playing it, whether it's on like their real Switch with them like dumping it on there or playing through emulation. And Nintendo has been watching this very closely, getting mad at this company and that money and shutting this project and that project down when it comes to Switch hacks in general or jailbreaking. Even though it's technically legal to jailbreak a device, they're shutting down like GitHubs about certain tools that help you jailbreak and stuff like that. I don't know if that's gonna hold up in court, and these companies could fight back and like, no, we are allowed to have this up. And I'm curious how all that's gonna play out. That's a whole side talk. But because of all this, people are at least able to report that the frame rate doesn't seem to be too good. Like, it's not terrible. I think it's what we were assuming. Like, if you saw that skill up video, there was a moment where he brought that up. But like, yeah, when there's a lot going on, like explosions and stuff, expect the frame rate to drop, right? Well, this day one patch has details in it that when people were checking it out, that includes that they're adding FSR to the game. So you've played enough PC games, you'll see DLSS or you'll see FSR, sure, right, as options. Yep. So basically AI upscalers that sort of like, let's say the game runs at a low resolution, right? But you want to make the game look better without actually putting up the resolution itself because you want to have a certain performance, right? So this game can have like a dynamic resolution where it drops down to like 540 or something like that. But because of this FSR, it could still look clean. So it looks like this could address those frame drops. So maybe by the time this actually releases, we know this game is going to have FSR implementation into this game. So I think that's why we're seeing the game just overall when we're watching footage and trailers and stuff. I remember a Digital Foundry video speculating on this, being like, I think they're using FSR because this looks a little too good to be a Switch game. And so it's confirmed in the files, at least, unless they just delay this patch or something, that when it drops, we are going to have this implemented in the game. And as long as it's implemented well, this will fix frame rate drops. So, So I'm happy to see this.
That the DLSS and FSR and all that stuff, it's such crazy tech, like how it just kind of fills all those blank spots in with this AI technology. It's just crazy stuff, man. But the problem is some developers are getting lazy and they're saying like
they're relying on it too much.
Right. Instead of like, let me put my game out well optimized, and then this is going to make it even better for people maybe running on lower end systems. Let's just do part of the work and then that will fill in the rest for us, Like, come on, man.
Yeah. I agree with that. But in Switch's case, I do not think it's lazy. I agree. Clearly a very...
It clearly needs it. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. That's really cool though, man. Anything Zelda though, it's just my brain is just. And you've had a small taste already, so man.
Went to a friend's, played it for a bit.
I wish so badly, and I've contemplated this many times. I would love to have like a brand new, nice OLED Switch to start the new one on, but
right.
I'm just thinking like, man, I just gotta wait.
Again, this event is happening in September, I want to say. I think it is. Nintendo's holding an event. This is a really good opportunity for them to drop their next console at this event. And I'm saying more on no than yes, but I just want to say it could happen. So I'm only on the no because it's just like, I don't know, too good to be true, and you just kind of want to doubt it, but it's been a long time. I mean, this really could be the moment that they drop news on the new system. So it's hard for me to go and buy an OLED. Of course, they want you to. They even made a whole new OLED for this game, right? And then they're going to turn around in September and drop the new one, right? But of course, they can't say anything right now because it's going to prevent people from buying this model about to release.
That is true. True.
So, but I have a little hope in us seeing it in September. Not a lot, but anyway.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, of course, I'll still play it on my Switch now, but man, that would be really nice if I could have it. But okay, anyway, on to what we're playing here. I'll run through these quickly here. So I put Redfall on here just to mention that we did try it together. I was very much not impressed. Yeah, I just don't even know what else to say about it. We already talked about it, but yeah, did not enjoy my time with that game.
Gunplay is not good. Okay, here's the best way to put it. Just go play Borderlands. It's
someone mentioned that, and I was like, I think it was Mudahar, right? Yeah,
I don't know.
He's so right. He's so right. He was saying like you can fire up Borderlands from the year 2000, whatever, and
literally 360 games did this better than this game.
So that's crazy, man.
Games 10 years plus did this genre better. So there's literally no reason to play this game.
No, there's not. And
Borderlands has better world building, has better AI, has better gunplay, has better story. Just like has better like enemy variety, has better gun variety. Like, just go play Borderlands. Like, it's like.
Yep. Totally agree. I also threw Tacoma in here, although I just barely started it. I beat Pentiment, which I'll talk about in a minute, and Zelda comes out when, 3 more full days, and Zelda's here. So I was thinking, like, what's something I can play real quick in between? And Tacoma's only supposed to be, like, 2.5 hours long or something like that. So
I see it all the time. I didn't know it was that short.
Yeah, I've had it forever.
Me too. I'm always staring at the icon, and I'm like,
I know. I know everyone. I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people rave about Gone Home. I played Gone Home. I thought it was fine. I liked the story, but it didn't like it didn't like blow me away or anything, but some people feel that way. So I thought, let me see their next game and see how I feel about it, because I've heard pretty good reviews about this in general. So yeah, so I downloaded, and I've been trying to play my Steam Deck more. Like I played Pentiment so much Steam Deck, downloaded Tacoma on my Steam Deck, so I'm gonna play that on there. So yeah, so I just wanted to throw that one in there. I'm starting that, hopefully be done by Friday. I don't see why not, but yeah, that's the plan at least. I wanted to mention Guardians of the Galaxy 3 real quick, which I watched and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was, I've watched all the Marvel movies that have come out in this phase, and I will say some of them have underwhelmed me for sure. But if you're someone who maybe has been kind of out of the Marvel movies for a while, you can totally watch this one and not really be up to date and still enjoy it a ton. And it's so good. It's way better than any.
I mean, again, I would assume as long as we saw 1 and 2, we should be good to just.
Yeah, no, you're good. It's very much self-contained. Fantastic movie. It's so good. I was really impressed. Like, it has it has good music, right? You expect that from those movies, but it has a lot more serious things going on this time around, like some different story arcs, which end up being really, really well done. So yeah, I definitely recommend watching this movie. It was really great. Really enjoyed it. I want to watch it again, actually. Okay. And lastly, Pentiment. So I kind of went crazy on Pentiment. I had always liked this game when I first played it, but I had put maybe like 4 or 5 hours into it. I've talked about this game in the past. A lot of talking, obviously, a lot of exposition, narrative, right? But
I mean, that's literally the point of the game. It's a narrative game.
I find this stuff so fascinating, though, and they do the same thing that Triangle Strategy does, which is they actually do it even better, which is when you are talking, if they mention anyone's name, you can press the option button and it'll show their face, so you remember who it is they're talking about. But also, they will show you like any words that are underlined, and they underline any sort of words that maybe, might not be common knowledge. It could be something as simple as, okay, so the game is very much based on these people in this town. They're all religious, whatever. So it'll say like, oh, when he said our Father, like the prayer, it underlines it and it tells you exactly what it is. But then there's way more complicated stuff. Like, oh, he brought a copy of the Historia Tassia or whatever. And you're like, what the heck is that? You click it, it tells you exactly what it is, So it's really good about that, because there is a ton of info in this game. So that's really helpful to know.
Yeah, it's important to say it's a fictional story, but it's all based on like how history was at that point in time in this game. But it's just a new story, but the way people behave, the realities of what they would be doing and all of that would hold true to that time frame.
They really nailed that. The whole historical fiction aspect of it, they really, really did a great job on that. And I actually learned a lot from this game in terms of the way things went back then in those old days. And
watch there's so many little interview on Defining Duke, that which is like a sacred symbol sort of side thing, and they interview the creator, Josh. I forget his last name.
Yeah, and I know you're talking about.
It's a whole hour and a half where they just go into huge depth on the whole creation of the game and the meaning and all that, and it's one of the best like little podcast interviews I've heard in a long time. Like, it's up there with this recent Phil Spencer one on just the amount of information I gathered is just really incredible. And I still remember it constantly you can tell how passionate and how much he cares about it all.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about this is you can tell that this isn't like some game that's going to sell a ton of
but it's because of Microsoft. That's the thing and that's what he said in an interview, and I said this on a past episode, is like,
right,
you on some ways it's hurting Microsoft by letting people do whatever they want, but in other ways it really helps them, and they just really need to find that good balance of the two, and they really need to they don't need to be completely hands off, but at the same time they really don't want to be telling people, no, don't do this, play the safe bet, right? Because then we can't get stuff like Pentiment.
Sure. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And the thing is, like, I think he made this game knowing it wasn't going to be some crazy game that sold a ton, but he wanted it to be on Game Pass, people to try. A lot of people probably never discover it. And it was his passion project. It wasn't something that was like, we're pushing this as a company, really. Although, they did promote it a bit. But it was more his own passion project.
He said he's been working on it on the side for the last 15 years, and it's been something he always just wanted to do, but he couldn't convince people to let him do it. And then so Microsoft finally let him do it. and that I want to give them props for that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I mean, the thing about the game that I really loved is, like I said before, it's, first of all, let's just start with the visuals. It's such a beautiful game. It looks like a watercolor painting or something. Yeah. It's so good looking. That's the first thing. And the second thing is there's so many little cool details. You know, the fact that when they speak to you and the text appears, you can make it so it's text, it's like script according to their position in you know, in their life.
Their class, basically. Like if they're higher class, it's going to be fancier fonts. If they're like lower class, it's going to be a little more rigid. Like, yeah.
Yep, exactly. They're the father of the church, or you know, just a peasant or whatever. Yeah. I thought that was a cool touch. The way that when you do things, when you have, like, you know, the whole premise of the game is like this investigation, you're trying to solve things. You have all these places you can go to, but you only have so much time. And time doesn't work in real time, but it's more like you do this one thing, now the time, it turns forward a little bit, and then you do something else, it goes forward a little bit, you know? So it's like every event, it'll be like, hey, do you want to eat dinner with us today? And that will fast forward.
Every decision's making time pass, not
pretty much most of them.
It playing in the background. Even
exactly.
If
it's not
anything.
Like that.
Okay.
Yep. It's also, another cool thing is the clock from the game is so cool because it's not your normal clock. It's got, like, there's different names for the periods of the day. I think Sext is like the dinner time, and Vespis is like the morning time. Cool. And it shows you like dinner, whatever. It's just it's so fascinating how much work they put into this game, you know? But anyway, the last thing I want to say about the game is that I finished it, and the story was so good. It was fantastic. I couldn't stop talking to everyone. I was so interested in what was happening. There's 3 acts in the game. Each one probably about...
Well, yeah. How long did this take? Is this like a 6-hour game? Is this like a 10-hour game?
No, it's longer than that. It took me about 15 hours, something like that. 16 hours.
Still, it's not bad.
No, not too bad. But I'd say each act will take you anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours, let's say, something like that. And I thought Act 1 and 2 were like fantastic, like a lot of rising action going on.
Now, doesn't this game go far beyond, like in the beginning, it's about him solving a murder, but it goes far beyond that, right?
Yeah, it goes way past it. The game takes place over the course of like 25 years, you know? Within the 3 acts. So you play as this character who's a sort of like, he does commissions. He's like a painter. He works for like these really rich, you know, high class people. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that. But the game takes place over the 25 years. And at one point, yes, you are trying to solve a murder. But there's Act 1 and 2, there's like an investigation. You can talk to people, you can say things. If you did a certain amount of things here, when you go talk to this person, you might pass the skill check. It's like a, you know, Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, you know? But man, what a game.
Disco Elysium does the same thing, right?
Disco Elysium, same idea. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
What?
Which one?
No, is there any connection with like development with Disco Elysium in this game?
I don't.
What did? Let me see. Like, Pentiment. I want to see what else he's worked on. Josh Sawyer.
He did Fallout New Vegas. What else did he do? I had seen some other games he worked on. Yeah, man, I ended up loving the story. It went to some really crazy places. I was really sad to see it go. It was like the perfect Steam Deck game, by the way. So good on there. But yeah, I absolutely loved it, man. Loved it.
Okay, that's what I was getting confused. So he played Disco Elysium, right? And he said Josh Sawyer absolutely blank his blank when Disco Elysium came out and claimed it was not only a masterpiece but a trailblazer for the future RPG design. He freaked out. I remember because I was thinking back the interview and it was hard to recall. He was gushing over it basically, and he wanted to do his own thing, and that inspired him to make his game. Is because of Disco Elysium. Cool. So yeah, there was.
I'm glad. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. That was so good. So yeah, man, great game. Definitely worth playing.
And you obviously also like Disco Elysium. It's one of your favorites.
I really do like Disco Elysium as well. And I'll throw Triangle Strategy in there again. All games that have a ton of reading and narrative, but it's better for it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are I can't believe in my adult life that I played those 3 games though. I feel like it's so much. It's not even that they're like 100-hour long games, but they just require a lot of time and energy and brain power.
Well, honestly, it takes an adult to play those games.
Like, that's true. That's true.
A kid can't really get much from stuff like that.
Yep.
I just been playing like Mega Man Battle Network, been playing some Advance Wars. I'm just going into both of those a ton. I'm just really jonesing for Zelda, and it's making me really hard. Like, I don't want to pick up a game that I have to invest a lot of time into, so I'm just playing a lot of like small pick up and play for a bit and put down, and I'm purposely trying to hold off on like getting into something meaty because Zelda is just too close, and I'm just enjoying like the anticipation of it, and and I'm having a really difficult time like when I'm starting up something big, like being like, I just can't do it right now. I just can't get Zelda out of my head. It's taking over my mind way too strongly, and so that's really it.
It's so exciting, man. I really cannot wait. I already have it preloaded on my Switch. God.
Yeah, me too. Now I have to stare at the stupid icon for like a week. But I mean, this episode come out Wednesday. It drops Friday, and I mean, we'll definitely be talking about next week. So.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
What's hilarious too is like, I mean, roll into this new game watch. There's only 3 games. I've never this is the shortest I think since we started this podcast. That's coming out in a week, and clearly nobody wants to mess with Zelda. They're like,
oh man, I can't wait to get that. Can't wait to get Death or Treat instead. Yes.
Death or Treat, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, May 11th. Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Switch, May 12th. And then Humanity, PS5, PlayStation VR 2, PS4, PlayStation VR 1, PC, May 16th. Now, I do want to say one thing. I got my new specs and everything. It's really motivated me into making content because with my past parts, it took forever to like render stuff, edit stuff because it was super choppy. It'd take forever to save files, and it was just like a hype killer. And like now I'm feeling a lot more motivated to get a lot of things done. But because I also have these parts, that was the core reason of the upgrade. But VR, I was like, well, now I can just play any VR game, no problem. So I'm gonna dive into X, Y, and Z. So I was playing like Dart Rally 2, which is like super fun. I'm playing a lot of different racers, like Job Simulator, threw on some Beat Saber again, threw on that Thrill of the Fight. It's like a boxing VR thing. I went through like 15, 16 different like VR things that I've had on the back burner. But I'm still in this mode of like, outside of Half-Life Alyx, nothing's like, I still don't know if it's the time to buy. It's really cool, but I get bored real quick with it. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just take this off and just play on my TV than to be in this. It's too like, it's so brain draining. And you're like 30 minutes in, you're so just like worn out. Like you just like, whether you move or not, it's just so taxing on your mind. And for experiences that aren't even as good as you just playing whatever game outside of VR. And it's just like, I'm just not sold on it. And, but the coolest thing is, what was I going to say? Oh, I set up like, what's it called? It's on Steam. Basically, you can pull up your desktop in VR and you can change your environments to all these different things. I want to be in a theater, or I want to be on the moon. People make custom ones. You can download whatever. You can like, someone made one to where you're like in the office, like the show of like the set or whatever, or just different random things like that. And it's pretty neat. And then you can make your screen as big as you want. But I've been manipulating that. So there's a lot of games that I love, but like there's not a VR version for. So I threw up Cyberpunk and made the screen gigantic and curved. So technically I just made it so large where I look to the left and right, and I'm still looking around Cyberpunk world, but just because I made my screen so large to where I have to look to the left to see a guy here or right to see a guy there, even though it doesn't wrap around 360, I'm at least covering maybe like 180 degrees with the screen. And it actually is a super immersive, cool experience when I'm playing games not even designed in VR, I'm getting greater experiences from those games than I am from games designed for VR. So now I'm starting to do that. And I'm like, I just installed Doom. I'm going to give that a shot. Because I installed like a smaller file just to see how a first-person shooter would be. It's super immersive when you just stretch the screen out and throw it in that. So I'm finding a little niche there that's really, really neat and interesting of like, oh, just don't play VR games. It's not nearly as draining, and you're still far more immersed than what you would be just playing it normally. So that's a cool little thing with it. I'm really happy to be having specs where I can just throw up any game now, higher epic settings on 1440p, and not having to, worry about moving this setting down or this setting down and all of that. So,
right, of course.
It's great. But now it's like, okay, well, I've technically played all of the ones, even if it's like a big graphic game. I don't even know what to... I guess Jedi Survivor would be the only thing where I could like play that I haven't played yet that would push my system. But
sure,
even now, it's still like somebody was just saying like yesterday, there's still a ton of issues, and the last patch made it worse for a lot of people. I'm not gonna turn around and go get that. So it's like, I don't know, but Zelda's right here, so I'm kind of like, now I'm waiting for that big PC release to really like push my system. I don't know what that is, but I've played enough of Cyberpunk. I'm like, I'm kind of over this. I don't know what to really play that could really push my system in a cool way.
Sure.
So, yeah, there's that. I guess I could play The Last of Us, but again, it's a story game, and I already know the story, so I'm like not too interested in doing that. I don't know. Do you have anything in mind that I should?
But I was thinking like if you crank Doom Eternal all the way up and just see how well. Yeah, it feels.
See, I was already running that game at 120, 1440p before anyway.
Oh, that's probably awesome. Yeah, so you were probably fine already with that.
Yeah.
How about? Man, now I'm just like drawing a blank now. I don't know what
we had a bunch of broken releases. I don't know one that's just like, oh wow, like can't wait to play this on my rig.
I'm not sure. I'm sure I'll think of something, of course, after we're done.
But yeah, there's that. I guess Resident Evil 4, I still have yet to start that. But again, that engine, so I could have played that anyway, to be honest. Yeah, maybe like I could have played at 60, now I can probably play at 120, So I guess there's that. But anyway, I don't know. And that game isn't like super like, it looks great, but it looks about like as good of, let's say, like Last of Us Part 2. I feel it's kind of in that vein of graphical impressiveness,
Sure.
I guess if you don't got anything more to add, we'll get out of here.
That's it for today. Take care, guys.
All right. See ya.